Side Talk Sports, Locker Room Talk. We're going to dive into the brand new Nuggets. We're going to see what's going on with Coach Prom and the new era that we got going on up at CU. As well, we're going to dive in. Training camp just started. Cleveland Browns QB battle. Let's see what we got going on. Side Talk Sports, Locker Room Talk. Let's go.
Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon'
What's good, y'all? Welcome to Side Talk Sports, Locker Room Talk, where we take raw takes and unfiltered language, unfiltered energy straight from the locker room, where we dive into. Powered by RSTP. I'm your humbling host, Eli Griffin. Now let's get down to business. You feel me? Also, you can catch me on X at Griffin, III. Also, check out Side Talk Sports page at Side Talk Sports. So let's get into it now. So one thing I wanted to introduce to y'all, the whole discussion about the Denver Nuggets and what they did this past season. You get what I'm saying? So the Denver Nuggets new team looks amazing. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. They brought back Bruce Brown. Also, they traded for Giannis Valanciunas. And they traded also for Cam Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets. So a complete overhaul of the team, but there's a little drama that goes associated with that. You dig what I'm saying? So let's dive into this real quick for me, y'all. So this is the Nuggets offseason transaction. You know, you got the starting five with Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Jokic, now Cam Johnson, and Aaron Gordon. So with that, I feel like you can't replace Michael Porter Jr., but if you did, this is the next best person. You know, Cam Johnson is technically a little bit more athletic Michael Porter Jr., unfortunately, because of the back injuries. And then it just shows the projected salaries, how much money that they switched, because Michael Porter Jr. was a max player. And at the end of the day, Denver Nuggets had to trade one of these top four max players. So that right there gave us some flexibility to trade for Cam Johnson, as well as have vet minimums for Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown to boost that bench, which God, we know Denver Nuggets fans, we know we needed. You feel what I'm saying? So that right there was unbelievable. So one thing I want to get into is the whole situation with Giannis Valanciunas. And this came out yesterday about the whole drama of him going to play for a team in Greece. I cannot pronounce the name, so forgive me, people from Greece. I just can't pronounce it. Sorry, but he just wants to make it clear he's going to honor his contract to be the big behind Jokic. And again, this is the first time Jokic actually has a true big that can spare him some minutes, so he's not so gassed out toward the playoff times. And that's one of those reasons why I believe that the Nuggets did fall to OKC in 7 games, which is kind of crazy. They took them to 7 games with an injured and tired team. So, but what's up next? After all this drama happened, so what's next for the Nuggets? I think it's a great move, a serious move, considering that he wanted to return to Europe after receiving a 3-year contract a couple years ago. He still had 2 years on that deal. So I believe the Nuggets are paying him $12 million a year. And the team stands Nuggets informed, like I said, informed them that it's going to be a great process. Come honor your contract and just play ball, which I don't understand why he wouldn't want to come, because the Nuggets are in the championship window. And that's one of those things where you just got to understand. I know you've been in the NBA for a while, but you're going to have a championship contending team for the first time in your career. So I think that's just pretty awesome to see all that go ahead and go. So this is the team that we have, potential rotation. And like I said, do they have a chance to make it out the West this year? I think they have a great chance to make it out the West this year. The key additions, like I said, Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Giannis Valanciunas pairs up with the starting five, where I think it's one of the best starting fives in the NBA, as well as you still have Peyton Watson, Julian Strother. You still got the rookies from last year that tore his ACL, and or is it Darian Holmes, I believe? Don't quote me on that, but if I mess up your name, my bad, brother. But this right here is an awesome team. I think they can go deep in the playoffs and not have to play. But the one thing that I have always questioned um, is Jamal's consistency is the key to this whole team running. I believe that if Jamal can start off and be consistent from game 1 to 82, I believe this team be top 2, top 3 in the West. And going into the playoffs, I think if we can, God forbid, no injuries, I think we'll be a great team. I just think that the consistency with him has to be there. He always gets off the slow start, so that's the big key this year. And I think after what is his eighth year in the league, however many years that Jamal Murray's in this league, I've not seen him not one time get off to a hot start or be consistent throughout the year. It's always he's injured, he up and down up until we play off. But I am not gonna lie, probably one of the best playoff basketball players that we've ever seen, to be honest with you. So that's always a great thing for Jamal Murray. But that's a key. I think that's a key to next year's team. Give Jokic a break and then just continue to just fight and keep on going. And another thing I want to talk about, I want to dive into is the Jokic contract. Like you guys already probably heard, Jokic is due. He can get an extension, but he denied the extension just for the simple fact that he'll gain $80 million more if he waits until next year to sign that max contract again, which we all know he declined, which I guarantee everybody in the world would decline the extension now for 80 mil the next year. He can wait one more year. He's still making 46 mil a year or something crazy like that. So he's all good with that. So everybody in Denver Nation, relax. Jokic is gonna be here. He ain't going nowhere. No one's gonna trade him. They'll trade anybody else but the best player in the world. All right. So just hold yourselves up for that. So continue on down just with this team. There's still some questions. In a way, is can they make another push? Can they make it another push to a championship? All signs point to yes in my eyes, in most people's eyes. I know the Clippers added on Chris Paul and a lot of teams in the West. It's going to be a gauntlet coming out the Western Conference this year. But I honestly think and I truly believe that it's going to be a hell of a ride. It's going to be fun to watch. NBA is going to be pretty fun this year, especially for Nuggets fans that now we actually have a team that we can go out there and fight for a championship again this year. You know what I mean? That window is still open, fellas. I think it added 3 to 4 years to the window that we currently have because I think Jokic is 30, and I think you can get 5, maybe 6 more years out of Jokic. It's not like he depends on athleticism, so it's not like his athleticism is going to drop or anything like that. So right there is going to tell you he might play a little longer, maybe 7 years, 8 years. You know what I mean? I can see him play 10 years, but I think he has a solid 7 to 8 more good top seasons within him. You guys let me know how y'all feel about it. Nuggets Nation, do you believe he top 3, maybe top of the Western Conference? Do you think do you possibly feel that we're going to make a push and can overcome OKC this year? I feel like with all the new additions, I think we're going to be a great team, a hell of a team, to be honest with you. And I don't see, especially at home, anybody really stopping us. You know, as long as we can get the best out of Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Bruce Brown, we'll be fine. But you know, I know Tim Hardaway can shoot, and I know Cam can shoot and create shots. They can both create shots by themselves. So I think that's going to be awesome. And then hopefully, you know, Julian Strother and Peyton Watson can kind of take that next jump to see where this team goes. Because if those two takes the next jump and maybe the rookie Holmes can take a jump, I think this team would be hard to deal with, you know, and play a little bit better defense. But you still have Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown or Christian Brown for that. So let me know in this comment section and all that good stuff. Appreciate that. But now I want to dive into the new look buffs. Coach Prime, he looks healthy. Deion Sanders appeared at the Big 12 Media Days that happened last week. First time since early summer anybody really even talked to him or seen him and even had an interview or anything. The only interview he had was on podcast with Asante Samuels, and he was saying he was dealing with some health issues, and it looks like he's regaining strength and living good. He seems like he's pretty good. I've seen on social media that him and his daughter went on a mile or two run, and overall how his outlook for the team. So overall, Coach Prime looks pretty good. I have to say, I was watching the interview and he looked pretty well. He looked like he's ready to go for fall camp. and we probably won't get to see him pop up again until fall camp when he first talks to the New Look Buffaloes. So diving into more of this New Look Buffaloes, and we're gonna always start off with the headlines that going into fall camp is the quarterback battle. And I want you guys to check out Coach Prime on it, and I want y'all to see what he says with this quarterback battle. So yeah, so Coach Prime looks like he's ready, and the quarterback battle is gonna, like I told you, the headlines. Um, to state some stats, Caden Salter in the last couple of years, he's a transfer. He went 24-4 with Liberty last couple of seasons. Juju freshman is a 4-star or 5-star player. That's 17 that graduated early for that specific reason, to get ahead of the game. So it's going to be up in the air, but Coach Prime even stated that he's not opposed to starting, or not starting, but playing both of them. So like he said, he's coming around the mountain. So it's starting to click to Juju what he needs to do, of the captain of the ship. You know what I mean? So Sanders made it clear it's open for both. Again, Katie Salter, he's tied for the most touchdowns in the last 2 years with the quarterback from out of Clemson, Klubnik, I believe. So Katie Salter is a baller. So I expect them to be nowhere. I see him somewhere competing for the Big 12 title. I see it's a better overall team. This is probably the biggest offensive line they had in years. So we'll dive into that. But this quarterback is something to keep your eye on. And I know for a fact that Coach Prime is gonna, coach them hard to get them ready, and Pat Shimmer, and hopefully Byron Leftwich. But I have some news for that, so I'll get the boys right, and we'll just see who pans out when we hit Georgia Tech August 29th. We'll see who trots onto the field. So we just gotta hope that when it comes to camp, everybody's ready. I know everybody's healthy. I know Coach Swayze up there had them working, so they got a week off this week. But next Monday, I believe Monday is start of camp, so they're gonna be ready to go. Also, Coach Prime also was talking about at Big 12 Media Days about Byron Leftwich. So what he was saying is Byron Leftwich is he's predicting that he will come, and he's trying to get him and Coach Mike Zimmer. So in their heads, be like, hey, I want to go up there to be coached by NFL caliber coaches. This is Coach Prime at Media Days talking about the situation.
Staff, this is without Byron Leftwich, which I'm praying that he does the right thing, and Mike Zimmer. We have 160 years of NFL experience. With those two added, that's 204 years of NFL experience, and I want those years. Our coaching staff, this is without Byron Leftwich.
So yeah, so we're gonna have to see how Byron Leftwich, and see if they both, Mike Zimmer and Byron Leftwich, get up to Boulder to help Coach Prime coach these kids up, as well as just pursuing on the difference and the new look of CU football without Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders. So despite early buzz that Leftwich was he was already signed, Coach Prime just stated that he's not signed, and he's going to be signed sooner or later, and hopefully he does. So that right there will just give him another edge on the competition. Not just that, but it helps Juju Lewis progress as a young quarterback coming into college football. And it's just one of those things where the new era of the bus is going to be something to see, because they don't have the star power. So I want to move on to what the mainstream media is talking about. There's a lot of questions when it comes to, I guess, Coach Prime's health, but it looks like he's 100%. He looks like he's good and he's ready to go. That's just from what my eyes can see. There's some questions when it comes to less star power without Shador and Travis and all the receivers that they have. So I totally understand how that's working, but I want everybody to understand that I believe that this is a better team. Not just because Coach Prime said it, it's just because I pay attention to what happens in recruiting and all the other good stuff that they have. So again, I believe they're going to be 9 to 10 win team. That's just my humble opinion, but let me know how y'all feel about that as well. And also, it also depends on the running back room. So the running back room is where we get the most questions. So my question is, can these running backs improve from 3.4 yards per carry last year? The leading scorer of Isaiah Augusta transferred to South Carolina. We bring back Offerdahl, Dallin Harden, Michael Welch, and then we got Track Hart. I always forget his Track Hawk. I forgot his name. And a couple other running backs. Can they take that jump to help this offense and help the overall feeling of the offense? Because last year was just Shador and 4 receivers, you know what I mean, and 10 personnel. or 10 or 11 personnel, 10 personnel. So can they take that jump to become a better running game? And that also predicates on the offensive line, and we all know that. And the offensive line, they got a lot of transfer in, like Shay Chrysler and a couple other ones as well. And that's coming back with Jordan Seaton. So the only person that's going to come back on returning from last year's offensive line is Jordan Seaton, which I believe is the best left tackle in college football currently. But how well will they gel together to be able to get to about 4 yards a game, 4.5 yards a game? Only time will tell. That's why they go through camp. That's why they practice. But I can tell you, this is the biggest offensive line I've seen CU had in a very long time, since the good old days with like Bobby Purify and Chris Brown and all of them. It's just something to look forward or look at as we go through fall camp with CU and this new era of Coach Prime's players. So hopefully they can step up and do their thing, as well as diving into the defense. So defense was great last year. They lost a lot on defense from Silliman Craig to Shiloh to BJ Green to a couple transfers out. You got a couple transfers out that just left. Understandable, but can that defense gel a little bit or faster and become about the same around defense? You know what I mean? But it's interesting to see because they can do it. They just got to bond together, which hopefully they did over the workouts that they had. And hopefully they can keep that track, because you're going to have Oklahoma on one side, you Arden Walker poised to have a big year this year. You got Akeem Otis from Auburn that transferred in that can help in the middle. Plus, you got a couple other recruits that came in, high school recruits that came in as well. So it's not as much as they came out. They have program is more stable than it was the previous 2 years. There's not a lot of coming in and out. That's something to see as well. So Coach Prime is starting to get his players. So we'll see how that works out. So if the defense can stay dominant, and the running game can come and the offensive line can have some cohesiveness in it, I think that CU and the new look CU Buffs will, I think, contend for that Big 12 championship. And I don't see why not. I understand that a lot of people doubt Coach Prime and all what he can do, and they really doubt him more since his health scare and his health situation. Like everybody says, just put faith in God and then we'll go from there. So I think Coach Prime is poised to come in and prove a point, even though he won't say. I feel like he's going to prove a point this year, just because they said that he can't coach without his son. So this right here is the offensive line that transferred in. Big boys that have experience. They're going to gel, like I said, with the returning, like Houston and Seaton and Yaya. All these guys right here are have to gel together to have this run game and have this offense clicking a little bit different. Plus, Kaden Salter and his zone read, and he can move with his legs. And don't forget, Juju's not just a pocket passer; he can move as well. So I think the combination of those three things, sorry, that can help this offense be a little bit more explosive. We already know what the coach has on the outside when it comes to receivers and all that stuff. So they're really hopefully they're poised enough and come together enough to make that jump for this year for those 3 units, because those 3 units it's predicated on big boy football is predicated on the running the ball and play action pass. I don't care what you say. You can do the RPOs and the spread them out, but we know when it comes down to playoff time, when it gets cold outside, it's turn around, hand the ball off, come downhill. So that's just speaking from experience. You feel me as well? So that's something that I'm expecting Coach Prime to have more emphasis on, and just trying to just be better overall. One thing I want to show you guys. Let's see. I want y'all to listen to RJ Young predicate how not just the run and quarterback play, but Coach Prime gets receivers. So if you see the receivers in the list of names that he rattled off, that they're going to have big years, they have the outside guys. They just got to get that run game going. So here we go.
Salter penciled in as the starter. I just know the run game is going to be better because he is a great runner. If Dallin Hayden or Michael Welch can just do something, poke it with a stick and move, it's already going to be a better rushing attack. The wide receiving core. it's going to be difficult to replace the production that Travis Hunter and LaJohntay Wester in particular were able to provide, just on general principle. Forget Will Shepherd, Jimmy Horn for a second here. Hakeem Williams, who's transferring from Florida State, Draylon Miller, who I know many of y'all love, a Debo Samuel type of dude, Omarion Miller, who I think has the potential to be a really, 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 really great wide receiver. You're also going to be looking at a 6'5" FCS transfer that I don't think enough people are talking about in Sincere Brown, and former Tulsa wide receiver Joseph Williams to help you pick up this load. Defensively, you hit a home run in the portal. Once again, Aheem Otis. I think he's going to help you pick up where BJ Green is leaving you off and can develop into an All-American. He's got that kind of potential. He's also going to be, I think, helped by Arden Walker. Going to be a dude, man. The McKinneys, RJ and DJ, they're going to be pretty good at defensive back. But for me, I expect this team to go and win 9 games.
So when he says right there, he just rattled off so many receivers that it's just unbelievable how many receivers they got. And if they can have some cohesiveness with that, with the offensive line and run game, and just have that run, that play action pass. And I also think they're going to be under center more, just with the players they got. They want to come downhill and run the ball. So that's the emphasis. I believe that is going to happen. I don't see them not going underneath center. So I just think that what RJ Young said in that clip, that it's going to hold true. So we're just going to have to check it out. I'm excited for that first game against Georgia Tech, which is going to be a battle because Georgia Tech is going to come to play, and CU got to be ready for it. And I'm rooting for CU. Like I said, I root for CU because I'm from Colorado and I root for them. That, and I'm a Coach Prime fan, but it's still Trojans over here. Also, I want to give you a look at and dive in a little bit of the recruiting. People say that Coach Prime is having a hard time recruiting because he's not getting some of the big time players that he has because he's been sick. But I think this right here shows that he's been doing pretty good. So these are the 2026 recruits that have already committed to Coach Prime. Great class starting off so far. You know what I mean? You want those 3 stars about to be 4 stars, and you want those 4 stars about to be 5 stars. So, and at the end of the day, you don't need stars to be a great team. You just need to be coachable and willing to work your ass off. You feel what I'm saying? Right here, this is the draft or the recruiting class right now. And like I've stated before, Coach Prime always comes at the end and starts stacking them up during the season. So I'm not too worried about that. He don't have 25, 26 like some of these other big schools. I know fall time is when he really starts stacking these players into the class. So plus he gets a lot of them from the transfer portal, but I think it's going to be less and less this year. I know he does the 40, 30, 40, whatever rule he has going. But if he found somebody in high school that can ball, he's going to do it. Plus there's the number 1 defensive player coming out of Colorado, July 26th, he's going to make his decision on what school he's going to go to next. So everybody keep your eyes out on him. Kid out of Cherry Creek High School here in Colorado. So hopefully Coach Prime can get him another 4-star guy. So yeah. So all in all, I feel like Coach Prime is ready. I feel like his health, he beat whatever health problems he has. We probably won't know we won't know until he has a press conference for the local media and just tells us, hey, this is what's going, unless he wants to just keep that to himself, which, hey, he has the right to keep it to himself. So, but I'm just glad he's up there walking and healthy and moving around and starting to see more videos from Wildlife and all them starting to show Coach Prime a little more, getting back to it. So always good. God is great. So I'm glad he's on that level. If that offensive line can gel and that offensive line and that running game can gel together, I believe they're going to take an even bigger step. They even did better offense than last year when they can hold the ball a little longer and they're not getting their quarterback killed. Those things are right there is going to be the big key. And also one big key is just how good this defense can be. Hopefully it's not like 2 years ago where they can't stop a nosebleed, but if they can just be somewhat in the middle of the pack in defense, I think they'll be just fine with running the ball, so help your defense out by running the ball. That's how it always goes. That's the saying goes. So that right there is how I see you. Always come back, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check in with me with more not just CU content, to check in and see how a fall camp's going. I'm going to put that out there for y'all because I know y'all like the content and stuff like that. So I'm gonna check up on CU and stuff like that as well. So now I want to dive into what everybody's talking about around the league, NFL, everywhere, every circle. possible. So I want to dive in to the Cleveland Browns QB battle with the 4 quarterbacks going at it. So you have Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett. That's the top heads storylines entering training camp. Most training camps open today. Most of the rookies been in for about a couple days now. The Browns quarterback room is one of the most, I guess, questions you want to say, not just questions, one of the most fascinating situations in the NFL this year, going into training camp to see who's going to win this job. And somebody don't like this person. Somebody don't like this person. Like I said before, I'm a Shador fan. I think he's the best quarterback on the roster, and I feel like he was the best quarterback in this draft. But that's just how I feel about it. But, everybody give their takes. So but not to less, Dylan Gabriel's out there. He's still a player. He still made it to the NFL, so he's going to compete his ass off as well. So we're going to see what happens. And I personally believe it's between the veterans, Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco, and the backup is between Shador and Dylan. Do I believe Shador is going to start? No. Do I want him to start? Yes. I just think it's going to be veteran in for a couple games, and then they're going to let the rookies rock. So they're not going to cut either of the rookies. They're going to see what they have. It's really just up to who's going to win it out of Flacco and Kenny Pickett. Either way, they got to see what these young guys have to see what they can do next. But with the diving into the Shador and Dylan battle, how do you think it's going to shake out? How I think it's going to shake out. Early signs always point to Dylan because he was drafted in the 3rd round, Shador in the 5th. But everybody keeps on bringing up Shador's poise, which I've seen it at CU and Jackson State. Right there, we see that he's already making those steps. Everybody around, I guess, the media is saying that they let Dylan grab all the first team reps during minicamp and off-season workouts because he grasped the playbook faster. I just think that's a damn narrative, but that's just me. I think that's bullshit if I've ever seen one. But Dylan Gabriel, he's what, 5'5" or 5'10", maybe 5'9". It's just one of those things where you can see it. You can see it working because you got Kyler Murray, but there's no way in hell he's as good as Kyler Murray or as fast or quick as Kyler Murray. But that's beside the point. Shador was bred for this. I feel like he's going to beat Dylan Gabriel out when it comes to training camp. This is when it counts, so we're going to see. Whatever comes out of training camp is what they're saying. Even though some of the Cleveland reporters have a narrative they want to keep, and Tony Grossi again says some dumb shit about Arch Manning again, but we'll dive into that. Early signs just pointing out that these guys are working hard and we're going to see who wins. Do I think it's a 4-way battle? No. Like I stated before. So we're going to dive into what everybody's saying currently about this quarterback situation. So I believe that he is the best fit for the offense they want to run, but we just got to see how it works out in training camp. He's going to have to earn his reps on his way up, which I'm saying here, I believe he's the best quarterback in this, not just in this draft, but on the Browns. But I still believe he still has to earn it. He still got to earn his way. I think every player got to earn their way unless you're like Myles Garrett or something like that already proven. That's how I see it playing out. But he's already playing the part when it comes to quarterback. He's in the community. He's doing his thing when it comes to everything a quarterback should do. Granted, the whole speeding ticket, but everyone gets a speeding ticket. But I just think how the battle plays out is they're going to let Dylan go first because they did all summer. So Shador just needs to come in, work his ass off, and do what he got to do, which I believe he's going to do. And once we get to the preseason games, everything's going to weed itself out from there. And you're going to see the talent. To me, Shador has better talent than Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco. Flacco's proven Super Bowl winning quarterback already, but he's long in the tooth. Father time catches up with you. So you're just going to have to see how that works out. You get what I'm saying? So y'all just let me know how y'all feel about that, as well as just see how it goes. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I know everybody in the world is gonna keep an eye on this situation. So I guess we'll just see how it works out. You know what I mean? And, again, like I said, Dylan Gabriel's gonna get the reps. Dylan Gabriel reps. It's not because he's processing faster. I think that's just, again, a narrative that people are just saying it because of who Shador is, and to me that's bullshit. So again, your boy Tony Grossi on some bullshit. He's always come with narratives, man. And he says from the neck up, they think that Dylan Gabriel he's getting more reps because pretty much that he's the number one pick in their eyes, and they feels that the Browns view Dylan Gabriel as a first round pick and gets more reps because he can process faster. I don't believe that shit at all because I see Shador processing just as fast or faster. I just think everybody learns a different way. But Tony Grossi with another take that I feel like he's biased to the situation. I'm gonna call him out that. Mary Kay she's still bullshitting, but she's coming around to understand who Shador is and what type of quarterback he can be and what type of quarterback he is. So she's coming around, but Tony Grossi still has that good old boy attitude, and this is what he's been saying about Shador. Oh, we gotta pump the brakes, and I'll show you another clip here in a minute about this whole situation. And to me, it's getting old and tired about this whole situation, man. Like I'm overseeing all that good stuff with Tony Grossi and him just saying stuff like that. When it comes to this, all the analysts is saying Shador is a better prospect, even though he dropped to the 5th round. We all know why he dropped to the 5th round, but there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Come on, fellas, we all know. Everybody from all mainstream media, everybody, not just CU fans or the CU antis or guys like me, we all see a better prospect in Shador Sanders. So this is Brian Clark and everybody speaking on it.
Shador Sanders will be the Cleveland Browns starter by their Week 9 bye week. You heard it. Look, they got a lot of quarterbacks in that building. But I think that the voice from the fans is going to get louder and louder as the season goes on. I think we know who Kenny Pickett is. We know who Joe Flacco is. And I think Shador supplants Dylan Gabriel.
Start him sooner. You have 2 first-round picks next year. You need to know what you have in Shador Sanders. He's a better prospect than Dylan Gabriel, their 3rd-round pick. Trade Kenny Pickett. Joe Flacco is your bridge quarterback. Let's see what we have in Shador, who's a very talented quarterback.
I like that. And I think he should start earlier. Obviously, you're going to start with the veteran to see what this team has. But as the season progresses, as you start to be more comfortable with Shador Sanders at practice and the way that he's handling himself in the building, he should become the starter because you need to know if he could be your guy going forward.
So again, Chiefs media see that Shador's the better prospect. We all believe he's the better prospect. But hey, at the end of the day, he's still got to see who wins this quarterback battle, which I believe Shador will win it. I don't think he's going to start. Like I said, I don't think he's going to start at the beginning of the year. I think he's one of the veterans. And I honestly think that they're going to trade one of the veterans. Somehow, some way, they're not going to be there. I don't think they might just cut him because they're not getting paid a lot. So, and like they said, we know who Joe Flacco is. We know who Kenny Pickett is. He's on his 3rd team in 4 years, and we don't know what we got with Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders, but Shador Sanders is a total better prospect than Dylan Gabriel. No one heard Dylan's name even in the same breath as Cam Ward or Shador Sanders in this draft. So I just don't want to hear it. I'm tired of people saying it. Let's just stop this foolery already. You feel what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about that. And I just think that overall, Shador's going to win this battle and eventually become the starter. And that's something that's going to change Cleveland forever, I believe. But if not, only time will tell, fellas. So let me know, subscribe, all that good stuff. Post it in the comments and how you feel about this quarterback battle. Now I want to get into something that about Shador that people don't realize. He's his own brand and everything comes with him. And everybody says all his followers and all that. But when you look at it, before I get about here, when you look at it, it's a good thing to have your own brand. Why do you think people at CU now following and everybody's following Shador on his own brand? So he's a 5th-round pick. We all know he's a 5th-round pick. But now look what happens when he's a 5th-round pick. But look what happens to Shador and his contract for that.
Shador Sanders is going to be one of the richest quarterbacks ever. Prime equity. I want you guys to understand that word, prime equity. Yesterday I did a video about him receiving $14 million in commission from $250 million earned from his jersey sale. A lot of y'all said, Cap, that's a lie. When Shador signed his deal with the Browns, which was $4.6 million, there was a clause in his contract that was called prime equity. This clause ties into brand legacy and financial future to his on-the-field performance, allowing him to potentially benefit from the value he brings beyond just playing football. It could include things like revenue from merchandise, endorsements, and media appearances. So this means because he came into the NFL already a brand, the NFL has to cut him a piece in order to access that. So y'all thought they were just trying to teach him a lesson because of his ego. It was because he was a brilliant business mind. That's why he went so late in the draft. They were trying to ruin his markability because they knew it was worth money. And they knew whoever he signed to, he was going to put that clause in there. So they were trying to make him look like he wasn't that good. You should have just paid him. Because the things that he's about to do is going to change the entire way you see the NFL from this point on.
Let me tell you something, man. Amazing deal by Shador Sanders. So Shador Sanders' prime equity clause in his NFL contracts allows him to receive commissions from jersey sales and other revenue streams generated by his brand, in addition to his base salary. Specifically, it's been reported that he's entitled to a cut of the $250 million in jersey sales since being drafted, potentially earning $14 million in commissions, according to a social media post, and also according to the man that was saying in the video. Now, here's a breakdown: the prime equity clause. Now, this clause negotiated into his contract with the Cleveland Browns ties his financial future to his on-field performance and the value he brings to the team beyond just playing football. In regards to the jersey sales, reports indicate that Shador Sanders has generated a substantial $250 million in jersey sales since being drafted. The prime equity clause entitles him to a percentage of those jersey sales, with reports suggesting a $14 million commission. This clause also extends to other potential revenue streams such as endorsements and media appearances, further solidifying his financial stake in his brand. Great job, Shador.
NFL. So again, he has equity in his jersey sales. He made $250 million off his jersey sales. He gets a piece of that. That's $15 million. So right there, that's already making up for the bullshit contract he got being a 5th round pick. And his jersey sales are just going to go higher and higher. He's going to keep on getting more money and more money. And he has all the endorsements, like all this stuff he probably had from Nike and KFC and all the other endorsements he got. He's making money. So he's not hurting as a 5th round pick like most 5th round picks are. So before I jump out of here, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube fam and all the fam, Shador's going to make this a battle. I'm not going to tell you who's going to win because it's the NFL and there's some politics involved. I couldn't tell you who's going to win. I just know I believe Shador should win, and I believe that he will win. Do I believe he's not going to? That's just not how the NFL does things. There's still a good old boy network that is going to play the veterans first before they just throw a young person out there, which is funny because if they would have drafted him in the first round, they would have threw him out there. But that's beside the point. They're going to get rid of him. Honestly, they need either Dylan Gabriel or Shador to hit because at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson's contract is still on the books, and they need a younger. I just think it's going to be Shador, not Dylan Gabriel. And with that being said, that's how I feel overall about the quarterback situation. But only time will tell. Not just that. Training camp's going to happen. Preseason game's going to happen before we even get there. There's going to be a month and some change until we figure out who's going to be the quarterback. I'm very intrigued of this battle, and we're all going to see it play out in real time. I'm going to beware for you Shador fans, CU aunties, everybody that's rooting for Shador. There's going to come narratives in this situation when it comes to Shador. They're going to say the most crazy shit just because they don't like how Shador carries himself. So be ready for that throughout this next month of training camp. So don't sweat it. Just let it go off for all you Shador fans. So just take it what it is. And my overall thing is Shador will win this, but we're going to talk about it. You're going to get content about it all the time, every day. Well, again, we'll see how that works out. With CU, we're just going to see how the new Prime era is going to show up. I feel like they're going to be great. And the Nuggets, we're just going to have to wait till this fall to see what's going on with them and see how they're building the team together. Again, like and subscribe to Side Talk Sports and not just the locker room, to Orange and Blue Country with my boy, me and Larry Stroh. Catch me on social, on X at Eli Griffin III. As well, you can catch Side Talk Sports on TikTok at Side Talk Sports. Like, comment, subscribe, run the algorithm up, all that good stuff for your boy. I appreciate y'all. To the next time, peace.